Alright guys, we've got Coach George, athlete at Power Elite here behind the camera. And we've got Mr. Bossman Scott Hill, aka my coach. He's on the hot seat right now. We're going to ask him a bunch of questions. Just a few questions just in regarding, comp prep, bodybuilding prep, sort of. I want to know exactly what was going through his mind while I was prepping. So yeah, there's been a few questions. So let's start off with, how did you find working with me just as an athlete?
No, you're an easy one. Your body responded well. Most coachable athletes are the same. It's good. I just call it monkey see, monkey do. I think it's actually harder to do athletes. I find it a fair bit easier. Because literally, if you ask them to do something, it gets done. So,
yeah.
Well, 99 times out of 100. And so then it's easy just to coach them along the way. Probably the hardest part now, the post-comp period. You can tell coaching continues for that a lot, just to try and let athletes find a more balanced approach to the lifestyle once comps are done.
Sweet. Now, we've got another question here. What do you think you find the hardest thing an athlete? So if you're coaching someone, and let's say they messed up, or like I've had few letdowns during my prep where I went out and I messaged you saying, "Sorry, coach, I had a donut," and then how would you go on about it to sort of help the athlete to sort of move forward?
Yeah, most of the time in context, it's not even a blip on the map. They catastrophize it in their own mind. If you're doing a 20, 23, 24-week prep and you have the odd donut or just some one or two minor details like that, 3 or 4 times over the 20 weeks really doesn't make a big difference. No. If it allows them, though, to derail their own mindset, then yes. So the job of a coach there is usually keep it in context, reaffirm, keep the eye on the prize, and especially with how we do things with flexible eating anyway, you should be able to stick on track anyway. It's not about those specific food choices that make anything magical happen. And the job is easy. Just get them to refocus back on the goal and away you go, because usually it's not that big of a deal.
Good answer. I can relate to that. We've got one more question here. If there's anyone out there that possibly thinking of competing or getting on stage or, transforming their bodies, etc., they don't have to be a competitive athlete. How would you go on about it, them starting if they're unsure exactly where they're at? Like myself, when I first saw you, I was like, oh, do I have enough? Literally, my first questions for you was, what do you think of me? Do I have enough muscle to compete? How would you go on about that?
Of course, probably just seek out someone who is experienced in body transformation. If it's at the level of having confidence to do it. Because on the pragmatic sense, of course, can you do it? Of course, anybody can. It's the wrong question. If a person is dedicated enough and the reason why they want to do it is strong enough, they'll do the work and the job gets done. And if they're quite moldable, then you can educate them a lot. So we do it in healthier and better practices. So it's not a question of if you can do it. The only question is the ultimate end outcome is dictated by a few other factors like genetics and how long you've been doing it for. But could anybody transform their body or get up on the stage and do a comp and look good and do the process? Of course I can. Everybody can.
I definitely agree. I think that's a big one, is literally just going to meet a professional and just ask. I think that was it. Because if I didn't ask you, I wouldn't have done it. And I wouldn't have, learned all these things along with it.
And probably as a side note there, I would say ideally it's someone local so you can see them in person. If not, someone, sure, online, but that you can actually have a DM with or whatever, to ask the questions. Meaning, just be careful, of course, with Dr. Google. and Instagram and influencers and stuff. It's just a hard sea to navigate. There's some awesome ones out there, but as we know, there's a lot of rubbish ones as well. And like nearly all things in life, coming from the physio background and say medical, a great one is ask maybe 10 to 20 people who have done what you've done but aren't coaches, and you'll soon hear same names popping up. They're the ones to go and look after. Word of mouth is king, and usually the ones that know their stuff have been around for a while as well. So, you know, reputation, time in the game, and make sure you ask around and get for word of mouth. Yeah. And that's our other loud coach, Laura. That we always know when she's in the building.
All right. Well, thank you, boss man. No frills.
Sweet.
Okay, coach.